Yo, it's Pawtai and Supreme bringing you episode 32 of Rinkside. Supreme, how you doing this evening?
Not too bad, Poddy. I'm just hanging out. We just got finished up with a great interview that the viewers will be able to see later with main man Trevor. Um, Other than that, night's going pretty good. Quiet night, just sipping on a brewski. I see you're doing the same thing, Poddy.
Yeah,
What do I see you drinking over there?
this is a Presidente. I'll just show the logo. Let me show you. It's slick. It's slick, and it's a
Right on.
Dominican Republic beer. And it's a let's see. I think it's a Pilsner style beer. It's not like super
All
heavy
right
on
on.
the alcohol, but it's smooth. It's like a I don't know, a Caribbean Corona, if I could describe it.
Oh, right on. I heard the Caribbean's is unreal. Never been there. I do know the Corona is pretty good, especially if you stick a lime in there.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And, let's start off by sticking a line of these transactions below us where we're just moving our video up a little bit and bringing in some content onto the screen. So we've got the recent transactions and we've got the Whales dropping two players. We got Noah Smith um, left the server, and then we got Felicity Ferrari. Oops on Maccabees for picking Felicity Ferrari. But look at this. We've got people that are signed: Arch Manning to Beijing Bucks, Sailor Mars to Berlin, Kobe Froby to Sydney, Alvin Chisholm to Warsaw, and Mercedes Mayada to Wellington. I'm saying, who knows? There might be a connection between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Maybe the player just reset and created a new account. I don't know, just a hypothesis there.
You
Uh,
never know, but realistically though, Mercedes, a little bit of a downgrade from a Ferrari, but we'll see what happens.
That's very, very true. So my theory might have a little bit of a flaw, but hey, maybe they went. Maybe they're like, yo, I'm living too flashy. I upgraded these too quickly. I should,
Hmm.
maybe change positions and become a center instead of a lefty,
Yeah.
and
Silent killer.
play the long game. And
Yeah, yeah.
they dropped down from I don't know, a $270,000 car to a $80,000 mobile. Probably a nice addition.
To Yeah, modest. Could be a two-way forward, defensive kind of forward, going a little modest on the vehicle there.
Oh yeah.
But you never know. I do want to say one thing. Alvin Chisholm there, welcome to Warsaw. I'm a left wing, you're a right wing. Maybe we'll see what happens.
There we go. And we had another update. The Redwater Undertakers have added Jess Otis B, which I believe is short for Boudoir,
Oh,
Redwater co-owner, to their ownership room as new co-owner. Congratulations, Jess slash Otis. Um, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure there's an Otis Boudoir in the SFL that's a fellow kicker that, I'm a kicker on the DC Dragons. So respect
okay.
kicker to kicker. This could be like a child junior. I'm not 100% sure, but, you know,
Yeah,
that's what we got. Um,
right on.
so I'm going to move on over to the conferences and let's throw them up right now. In tied for first place with 31 points each are Alaska and Las Vegas. Alaska, I remember, dropped like 7-1 against Boston, and Las Vegas beat Miami in overtime. I think it was 3-2. So shout out over there. And then number one and two. Oh, I forgot. Let's talk about number three. We've got Albuquerque, with 24 points, a little bit of a drop off, but low 31. But then
Mhm.
over on the Mr. Hockey standings, in first place, we've got Miami with 24. Right behind them is Copenhagen with 23. And then a game back, we have Turku at number three. So those are kind of the current positions. You got any thoughts on those?
I just want to say one thing, or a couple things, honestly. Copenhagen sitting at number two. Very proud of my pro team. Hopefully, I can crack that roster in upcoming seasons. And we see Miami still sitting at first. They're having a really good season. Congratulations to you, Potty. I know that that's your team. And you know, Turku, they're still doing decent after having a decent year last year. And then over in the Rocket standings, Alaska having really good season, 15-1-1, and Las Vegas also 15-1-1, both having extremely good seasons. I see Alaska here with a goal differential of 36 in 17 games, so you know they're heavily outshooting or heavily outscoring their opponents with the plays of the week. I know Las Vegas are getting a lot of submissions with them, so they're pulling off some fancy goals over there in Vegas for a very fancy city.
Absolutely. And speaking of cities, we break down states into cities and we also break down conferences into divisions. And what I've got here is a breakdown of the different divisions. So, in first, in the Atlantic Division, we have Miami. They're about 7 points out from Jacksonville as number two. Europe Division, we've got Copenhagen with 23. They're 4 points out from Turku at number two. Then we've got the Central Division, Albuquerque in first with 24 points. They're 6 points out from Tennessee. And then in the Pacific Division, Alaska with 31, who is tied with Las Vegas. Pretty dynamic positioning, but I guess between the different divisions, if you think about it.
Well, we've got Atlantic here. You got Miami, 24 points, looking like they're going to run away. They're the only team with a plus in the goal differential this year. Going over to Europe, we got a 4 point gap for Copenhagen. You never know what's going to happen there. Turku could fly ahead of them. I guess we'll see what happens throughout the year. We head on over to Central, and it's looking like Albuquerque, honestly, for the next few weeks anyway. If they just keep it up, they're gonna stay in first, and they could make a good playoff run this year. And we hop on over to Pacific, and God only knows what's going to happen over there. We got a tie for first with Alaska and Vegas, so you never know what's going to happen in that division. So I guess we'll find out what's going to happen as the year goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a crazy, standings we have today in the pros. But let's turn our focus to the minors. Pulling out in first with a record of 8-1, zero overtime losses, is Sydney with 16 points. Then we've got Tokyo, two behind, in second with 14 points. And Warsaw and Iceland both have 12 points, but then it's maybe goal differential. So we would have Warsaw number three, Iceland at number four. Any thoughts on the minors and how things are going over here?
Well, seeing as my guy, the Wild Bear Man, over in he's playing over in Warsaw. They're in third place right now. Boys are just trying to get ahead of Sydney. They got a strong team this year, as you can see, 8-1-0. They got a pretty decent goal differential of plus 13. But honestly, you never know what's going to happen down here in the minors. Just a bad week. Warsaw could end up dropping down to fifth, or Berlin could end up coming up fourth. It just moves around quite a bit, honestly. But you got sorry, Beijing sitting down at the bottom, 1-9. Sometimes you hate to see it, but teams got to rebuild, and especially teams that relocate. I know Beijing, I think last year was the Atlantic Bucks, and now they're the Beijing Bucks. So, relocation, you never know. I think the Beijing, they'll get better someday, but I guess we'll just see what happens down here in the minors.
Yes, we will just have to go and see. And it's interesting how, power and position and playing through penalties really comes into an effect. We have our updated standings here of the power play or special teams. So In first is Albuquerque, who has the second best power play ranking and the first best penalty kill. Then we have Copenhagen with the fifth best power play, second best penalty kill, and Las Vegas with seventh power play, fifth penalty kill. But hey, let's talk about number four just in case. Miami, who is the second best power play ranking in the 10th best penalty kill. And let me tell you, it's the starting line of the penalty kill. Pawtai Pawtai, I take complete ownership of the fact that we are 10th place. I need to hold myself to better accountability, better discipline, that I take this as a complete failure on my part. So I'm changing the way that I'll be positioned to make the ultimate sacrifice and make the team successful.
Hey, but you never know. We got Copenhagen there sitting at number two for penalty kill ranking. But the Bear man, he's coming up. Maybe next year. You never know. He could be up there. And I know right now he's on the penalty kill down in Warsaw. So hopefully he can help out Copenhagen. We can get that number two up to a number one. And you know what? You know what they say. Defense wins championships.
That is what they say. But at the end of the day, does defense earn a 0 to a 1? Just a
Yeah,
question.
but hey, look at that. I'm not to fire any shots or anything, but PK there for Miami. That's 10th, but Copenhagen they're at 5th for power play, so we're not too bad on the offense either.
Oh yeah, no, I
Ranked
agree.
ranked number two, so you never know. Guess we'll see what happens. It'd be good, maybe a future rivalry. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, let's see. So
Hmm.
let's take a focus here on the league leaders. We are pulling these up live from the leaderboards. We've got Chester Chess with 14 goals is the goals leader, followed by Tom Krieg with 13 and Voodoo with 12. Moving on to assists, David Leathers with 17, tied with Geralt Winkler. And in third place, we've got Telemax Scarborough from Miami as well with 16 points. And going on to points leaders, we have Geralt Winkler tied with Catherine Kamenev and Voodoo, all with 21 points. Supreme, what's your perspective on these current standings?
Well, I'm seeing there's a decent amount of points coming from teams all over the place. It seems we've got some Albuquerque players up here in the leaders with what's that? Kamenev and Chess. 21 and 20. The center and the left wing. That seems like a pretty decent line. I'd hate to be going up and playing against those guys. But if you look over to the assist leaders, we got a guy that just likes to set up absolutely everybody that he can with David Leathers. He's got 17 apples. That's pretty good, if plays like Wayne Gretzky. So they say with Wayne Gretzky, even if he never took a single shot, he'd still be leading the NHL in points. With David Leathers, he's doing pretty good, even if he never had a single shot. Looking like he wouldn't be too far away from the bottom of the point leaders himself. So good to see that out of him. But other than that, with the goals, we got Tom Krieg. He's the famous man around goals. He's got 13, so he also obviously puts a lot of work in off the ice, and he definitely puts a lot of work on the ice as well.
And starting us off on the season 6 rookie leaderboard, we've got our goals leader tied three-way with Stig Magnus, Boston Dobbs, Daniel Akers. Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty damn sure Stig Magnus was an Atlantic Buck, living legend. And then we got Boston Dobbs. I'm sure he was a Warsaw Warlock. And Daniel Akers, I am not sure. So sorry, Daniel.
Yeah.
Do you know Supreme?
Dobbs, I do know he was a Warsaw with me last year. Awesome. He was an awesome guy to have on our team. He scored a lot of goals for us last year. It seemed like he was always on the sheet every night. And I don't know too much about Magnus and Akers, as you know, this is only my second season, but by the looks of it, you know, they seem to be doing pretty good this year.
Absolutely. And then moving over to assists, we've got Jerry Jackson. That's a warlock, right?
I don't believe so. It shows that he's on Honolulu.
Is there a different Jackson that I'm thinking of? It was a warlock.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. But you know, I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
everybody who's on our roster last year.
All right. Followed by Decky Pedersen and Jay Addagirl in third place, tied with Boston Dobbs, Max Jones, and Dank Turtle, who all hold third place. So, I think the assist leaders is going to change a little bit next week.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I know, like I said about Dobbs, he's a good player. You never know what's going to happen. He could end up pulling ahead, getting a hold of that second place. I would say Pedersen better watch out because Dobbs, man, he can feed people all night. And a guy like Max Jones, he seems to be doing pretty good over in Rome, and as well as Turtle. You never know with any of these guys, even at a girl, they could all pull ahead. So the race is pretty tight when it comes to the Apple leaders.
Yeah, and then we've got the potatoes, the points. Jerry Jackson again with 7 points, followed by Boston Dobbs, Stig Magnus. What a sick showing of like alumni. I mean,
Yeah, no, Jackson's having a pretty good season there. He's got the six apples, as you see over in the assist category. So he's just feeding guys all night over there in Honolulu. But you got, like I said, Dobbs. Like I've been talking about him this whole segment here, but he's doing great there at points, 6 points there. And Magnus tied with Ackers at 5. And then, like I said, we got two more people there with 4 and a bunch of guys with 3. I'd say the race is going to be pretty tight this year, and you never know what's going to happen.
yeah, absolutely. Um, and speaking of, what's unknown ahead, what if we turn our focus to our plays of the week? And coming up, we've got number 5 in our plays of the week. Copeland coming in hot. Hat trick from Ethics. What a goal. And coming around the bend with number 4, we've got, looks like a nice steal by Hill. Dumps it to Shorzy for a great goal. Number 4. But coming out straight out like a demon, Voodoo crushes someone with a hit and then scores a goal. And coming in at number 2, we've got a face-off. Copenhagen versus San Diego. San Diego wins it, passes it to Marasov with the OT game winner. Oh, it does, but I've got one to one up you right here. Check this out. Boom! Oh, OT winner. Henderson. All right, and we're here live on Rinkside. Well, not live, this is pre recorded, but we're here with Trev, who is the head coach of the Wellington Farmers, as well as the executive advisor to the president on the Florence Firebirds. Trev himself has been on the show before, and it's an honor for Supreme and I to bring him forth for a consecutive encounter. Trev, how's it going this evening?
It's going very well. Thank you guys for having me again, and this is my first time, I think, actually speaking to you, Supreme. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you, man. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Just busy with hockey, busy with Florence stuff. I'm actually missing the Florence game for this, but I think you guys are worth it.
Oh yeah, well we appreciate that dedication, and I'm curious how has the season been going for the Wellington Farmers, which you are the head coach of.
This so far this season hasn't been off the start I've been hoping for, but it's still very early in the season. We got a good bunch of guys who are slowly and surely building up their players. And it's still way too early in the season to worry at all. I think we're poised for a rise through the rankings very soon. I'm ready to see what these guys have in store for both this season and their career onwards.
Excellent. It's I know you always bring a lot of passion to your players that, you have the opportunity to lead, of which, I was grateful to be a part of one of your organizations as well. And I'm curious, like, how have you enjoyed the transition from coaching the pros to the minors? Has it been something fruitful that you were looking for?
Honestly, it's been a pretty unique experience because when you coaching pros and coaching minors are a whole new set of ball games in terms of roster structures, in terms of what you have to work with for lines and strategies. It's really like learning the sport all over again, and it's taught me a lot. But it's been very fun to experience for the first time. It takes me back to when we were coaching back in our first season when we were all 50 overalls, and it's honestly a pretty nice throwback those days.
Trev, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut in, Supreme, before your question,
That's all
but
good. Go for it.
Trev, like, you founded the Miami Dolphins in PXF. Like, how many leagues have you kind of like founded teams for?
Honestly, I've only founded teams for both this league and PXF. I'm still relatively new to ownership, and it's I don't have half the sim league addiction that so many of our friends have, but it's fun to be involved. And even if I've taken a step back in goals, it's nice to still be involved in other parts, either both here and in other leagues. It's a great feeling and very satisfying to work with so many people.
Hmm.
Right on, right on. Yeah, there's a certain old fella that I hear by the name of Doug that's in about 12 leagues or something crazy like that. So I don't know how anybody has time for more than like two, but but to
I've set my limit at 3 at this point. I cannot go above that. I do not have that much dedication.
yeah, I'm in goals. I tried a couple other ones, but honestly, I've got so much going on with this. I just stick to the one. But to bring it back to the hockey, what are your top pros and cons for coaching the minors versus the pros?
So for the pros side, I think the best part of coaching the minors is to see players from when they begin, because we all started somewhere and we all have different ways of getting to the pros. Some of us become all stars, some become, top 5, top 10 players in the league.
Yeah.
But to see all these guys get their first chances, to see them start off with such low overalls, and to watch them build their players up year after year, to be able to say, I was a part of their beginning, that's one of the most satisfying feelings of coaching. And it's the same feeling that I get when I think about my first season with goals. Same thing. You see how far these guys go, and years from now, I want to be looking at this Wellington team, and I know for a fact I'll be proud of these guys.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like personally, I'm still in the minors, and having a good coach makes all the difference. I had Pawtai as a coach last year, and he's a really good coach, and Miami's fortunate to have him now. So, but when it comes to the Wellington Farmers, who's the coach's pet on the team? Who's your favorite player?
Man, that's like asking a parent to pick their favorite child. That is such a man. For the sake of my guys, it's not fair to answer that. I love all of these guys equally.
Okay.
Each of them brings something new to the table. You have guys like Chambers and Shanahan who have been here for multiple seasons. They're the veteran presence on the team. Then you get Boudreaux, who is finally returning to goals after all this time, and I believe he just got named assistant head coach for Redwater, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have him coming back, which is a nice veteran presence. And then you have guys like Pinkman, guys who they're new to goals. It's their first season period, but you see them talking every day in general in the chat. And it's nice to see people who are active. That's something that I sought for as an owner back when I owned the Challengers, and that's something that I know scouts are going to be looking for when draft day comes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Best thing about being a coach is getting to see all the guys perform well and just grow, and someday hopefully you'll have a bunch of your guys up in the pros performing, and you'll know that you're the one that brought them there and helped them get there.
I'm definitely looking forward to today. Hopefully I'll be playing with them in Florence someday soon.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Speaking of Florence, how have you enjoyed your time on the Florence Firebirds?
I can honestly say that as much as I loved ownership back for when I owned Florida, being a part of Florence has been such a relaxing experience. It's so much less stressful than what I had to deal with for the last few seasons. I'm lucky to play with people like John is my team's owner, someone I've been friends with for years before goals even started. And, being in that locker room, you realize that he's created a better environment for Florence than I could have ever dreamed to create in Florida. And I'm proud to be a part of it. I feel like the sum of something greater, and that's a very satisfying and relaxing feeling to be able to experience.
Wow. Sounds like a really great organization. It's certainly made up of a lot of different types of roles and responsibilities, but it sounds like there's an underlying bed of chemistry between the players and the leadership, and just the overall organization led by John. I think is really a testament to success in creating culture. So I am curious about a specific role. You hold the title of executive advisor to the president on the Firebirds, and I'm curious, what are the responsibilities of this position?
Well, at first you always hear people joke about how Florence has 19 different GMs, and that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there's some slight truth that matter. Generally, John holds the decision-making. Whatever he says goes, but there's a group of about 4 or 5 of us, myself included, who generally pitch in when it comes to roster decisions, line changes. We're just generally there to provide input, and that's where I come in. I'm generally in there every single day, providing line strategy advice, any way I could help alleviate his workload, be it going in and setting lines myself, talking to draft prospects. I'm just there to generally make his life easier, and that's a role that I, so far, am in love with. It's a very satisfying feeling, and it lets me feel like I'm a part of the team, a part of something greater, without overloading my own workload.
Sounds like a very collaborative and inclusive way to work, to be able for people to provide input and own different parts of the organization. That's really cool. Supreme, what do you got on your mind?
Well, really, Trevor, I was just wondering, what are your plans next season with the Firebirds?
So far, I think there's only one plan I have in my mind, and it's the one thing that I know just about every team in goals wants. I want to bring this team a ring. That's what I agreed to do when I signed here for 3 years, and whether it's this year, next year, the year after, I want to bring a ring to Florence. I think there are so many people on this team who deserve a chance. John, Guy, so many great people. And I want to be a part of the squad that brings a championship home to Florence.
Well,
that's
man,
my end game.
That's a really good goal. And, like people always say, it's about the name that's on the front and not the name that's on the back. And Florence sitting here at 10th place right now. you never know. Maybe next year or the year after, you get some guys coming up, some good prospects, and you never know what's going to happen. You guys could pull something out and get a ring. And yes, what I got another question for you actually. Where do you see the Florence Firebirds 3 seasons from now?
3 seasons from now, well, obviously I've been wrong so many times before in the past. I don't have a crystal ball, but as long as we can keep our general leadership together, if we can keep our main core long term, I think we'll at the very least be a consistent playoff team by then, with so much more room for more. I know there's a probably decent sized possibility that a lot of our veterans will be either declining or retired by then, and we'll get to that when we get there. But I have trust that John can build a great group of players, guys who are devoted to this team and want to see what's best for it. And I have faith that no matter what happens, what adversity comes our way, he will be prepared for it.
Perfect, man. You know what? 3 years down the road, I hopefully will be on Copenhagen, and Potty's going to be over in Miami. So in order for the ring, you're going to have to come through us first, but can't wait to see you there.
Looking forward to it, guys. It's always a joy to watch you guys, to play against y'all. I'll be marking my calendars. I look forward to it.
Awesome.
And we'll be marking our calendars for the next time you hop on Rinkside. It's been a pleasure, Trev. Thanks for coming on. Any closing thoughts for the viewers or sentiments you'd like to connect with?
Nope, I'll keep it short and sweet here. Thank you guys so much for having me again. It's a blast every time I'm invited. I just want to thank you guys for the work that you all put in on a weekly basis. This whole show adds a whole new layer to the goals experience, and I know so many other players across the league feel the same. Thank you guys. Thank you to everyone watching for making goals what it is today. I love y'all, and I hope everybody has a great night.
Awesome, thank you.
Or day, whenever you're watching this.
All right, you too. All right, take it easy.
Awesome, thanks, Trevor.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So let me, I hear you got some questions for me that the viewers wanted to know.
You know what, Potty? Like I was saying to you earlier, I just feel like we should flip the script a little bit. I see you interviewing guys all over the place, and you know what? I thought that maybe I should interview you, so you let the viewers get to know the host and the creator of Rinkside.
Yeah.
So first question I got for you, Potty. How about you tell the viewers a bit about the life in Potty's penthouse?
The life in Potty's penthouse. So this is the penthouse. It's the confines of this room. It's everything that's in the screen. This is like, I am a human being. This is an environment I live in. This is where I record Rinkside. This is where I go to work. This is like who I am to my representation, at least from the confines of this screen. But let me tell you, inside the workhouse, I've been building these Lego Star Wars creations, and like this one's pretty cool, and I keep it on a mantle, kind of like a trophy, and I build them together. So behind me I have the accomplishments of not just myself, but the person I live with. So the representation of not only my future, but of the future wife and all that. So anyways, this is what's going on in the penthouse.
Awesome. You know what, Potty? That's great to hear. Whereabouts does Pawtai reside anyway? Where are you at in the country for all the new listeners out there that might not know?
Yeah, out in Chicago, Illinois. That's where I live. Born and raised in a suburb around here where great people came from and still keep coming.
Awesome. The home of the Blackhawks. Hey, you ever go to any Blackhawk hockey games?
I did maybe as a child. I will admit for the first, that I've gotten into the simulated hockey, but I haven't really like totally assimilated into the pros, but I tried my best. But yeah, I got this sick Blackhawks hat that I'm going to rock for a little bit, especially when I need to get a haircut and I didn't like comb my hair. So,
That's awesome. Hey, being a fan of original six teams always the best.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into goals, anyways? How's your journey been?
Yeah, so basically, I was in the SFL as a kicker on the DC Dragons, same team I'm still on today. And I got a text from, or, a DM from Fowler. I don't remember the exact first name at the time or what it is today, but got connected with Fowler and, told me about the league. I had some questions. I joined. And when I entered, I had questions, and Chewy was the first one that like picked me up, and I knew that it was like Amelia Rose. I didn't know that it was Justin. I was like, oh, this is a chick, and I was like, he was super helpful. And then found out later that it's him, and was able to create like the sim pod together. But it was like a super inclusive act that I thought, well, this is really interesting. Where this person has like kids, but is still like putting into like building a league. I thought it was like a great display of like passion for something. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, no, that's cool to hear. That's awesome. So, where do you see yourself and the league? I guess in a year from now, like what do you see for the future?
For me, so I guess what is me, or who am I? Um, do I define myself first as like a player, as like an incarnation of somebody on the field, or do I say like first I'm the owner of the team, or I do this as like the head coach, or this is the GM, or like or how? What if I like remove all those titles and think about what I really do? I like to like cultivate things that move together in synchrony, and it's like getting a bunch of people that are invested into something, kind of doing their progressions in a certain way, and lining up and ordering in an organization and performing with like certain characteristics calibrated, and then measuring that week over week, and then deciding, do we make an adjustment, do we do nothing, do we just keep on moving forward? And that's what I feel is like the greatest challenge, and that's what's brought me to like be an owner, coach, owner, GM. But I also understand that like there's a great appeal to something where like John, who like set up the Florence organization, has it. So there's all these other people providing input, and I think I'd rather have a more democratic system than like being the just the sole owner. But I think at the point where it is right now, you have to have somebody that steps up and takes ownership and says, this is how we're doing things, and like stands behind the results, wins or loses or overtime losses.
Yeah, no, it's good to definitely see somebody so devoted into helping the league grow as far as because I know you started this podcast or the videos for here for Rinkside, and it really helps the league grow, and it's good to see a guy like yourself. We definitely need more people like you. But going back over to you talking about being an owner and a coach and stuff. How about you tell me a little bit the Miami Maccabees? Where did you come up with that name? What made you decide all this? Where did all this come from?
So like being a Maccabee, it's like when you grow up, and your identity can be defined by anything. It's whatever you want it to be as an individual. That's what defines you. Is what you like take in as input and say this is output. Or there are things that you take in as input and don't define you. But to me,
Hmm.
like being Jewish was like something that was important when I was younger. And I
Yeah,
got bar mitzvah, and I still hold. I don't go to temple like all that much, but like I can still blow a shofar. I know how to like light a menorah and whatnot. I know the
hmm,
prayers. So the point
yeah,
is, when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of Jewish superheroes. There certainly weren't sports teams that were like,
yeah.
represented it. So I wanted something that like was cool to what I was into, and I think is important to the future generation. And the whole
Hmm.
point of like Judaism is being inclusive of others. It has nothing to do with like identifying as like we are Jewish. It's like we are people, and everyone is a person, and we all have equal rights, and we all have equal independence. So to me, sending that positive message, led to the Maccabees, who were the like kind of the Israeli like warriors. I forget the exact like you know Old Testament kind of theatrics. I should know more right now, but basically fought against insurmountable odds and survived for a long period of time. And so that was kind of the inspiration to set forth with naming them. And I wanted to maintain a central Florida, location in honor of the existing roots of the team. I thought it was a,
Mhm.
you know, um, good compromise.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's you know what, that has puts the Miami Maccabees, gives them a whole new meaning. Like hearing that story, it's really really cool to see, and I'm glad that the team and everything that surrounds the team is important to you and close to you. And it's nice to see that it's not just some random thing, and it's actually something that matters. And hopefully that the players that get to play for Miami, hopefully they get to appreciate it as much as it matters to you.
Dan, thank you. That's really kind words.
Yeah, awesome. You know what, Potty? I do have another question here for you. So, Potty, how about you tell me a little bit about Potty Potty over in Miami? How's Potty doing over there?
Paudy's on that 1-2-3 program right now. He's got 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, averaging about .18, so like a little over the legal limit, points per game. But out of, get this, only 13 shots and a 7.7% accuracy rating. So I'd say more accurate than last year. Hits 14 for a center. I'm saying that's a lot. That's a lot. And
Hmm.
here's the most commendable thing about Pawtai is Pawtai wins faceoffs. He's at a 54.7%. He's won 52 out of 95 faceoffs. And get this, average time on ice, 10 minutes and 26 seconds. Pawtai takes the fourth line. He's not in this for the records. Paudie's in this to win. He's the owner of the team, and he's put himself on the fourth line. All I'm saying is my stats might not be all-star caliber, but you can talk about the caliber of a person, and that's why I deserve your all-star vote coming up.
You know what, Potty? You're definitely going to get my vote. I'll vote for you 100%. I'll always support a good buddy and a good friend. And you know what? Defensive forwards. That's all about. That's how you win games, man. Like that's what I got going on down in the minors with Warsaw. The Wild Bear, man. He's not putting up a lot of points. I think he got like a goal or two, maybe. Got a goal. I know he got a goal in the preseason. He's not doing too much point scoring, but penalty killing, hits, and try not to take too many penalties. It helps the team win, and that's all the makings. Even a good captain or a good leadership kind of guy in the locker room. That's what wins you games.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And, I only spent 2 minutes in the can, out of those 14 hits. So that should be a ratio we look at, how many hits you
yeah,
get and how many penalty infraction minutes. Who knows?
yeah. No, I'm pretty sure the Bearman had two penalties in the very first game of the season, so I can't quite say the same thing about that. But I mean, if you rewind back to episode 18, possibly, I don't remember what episode I did my first interview in, but I talked a little bit about discipline and aggressiveness. Like the aggressiveness, you get a little more hits. A lot of people see it as a negative attribute, as Chewy was talking about, but you mix out good discipline. You're not taking as many penalties, and you're rocking guys, and you're stick checking, and all those great things to help teams win. And that definitely seems like something that Potty is like you're doing over down in Miami. That definitely seems like your kind of player.
Yeah. Man, we got a lot of alignment over here. Appreciate hearing that, and good to, understand and respect that, that perspective that I hold that you just outlined is like, makes sense. Um, But cool, Supreme. Thanks for hopping on this episode. It was like to have you come on.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Great to be here. It kind of sucks too. We couldn't be here with us tonight. Hopefully, some night that we can do three guys on here. We'll try something new, but we'll see what happens and see what the future holds.
Absolutely. And until then, this is Rinkside.